Paris in the south of France. And the reason is a very happy one, because the Tube crew and myself and everyone involved in it has waited for the last 4 years to interview one man. And every series, we started the series with, yes, Ikeda, this is it, this series, you're going to have him, yes. So, and it's thrilling.
Thank you,
It's
darling.
thrilling to be here.
Thank you.
After all this waiting. Why are you here? What are you doing?
I'm on tour. I'm doing a European tour. We started in Spain, with 3 gigs in Spain. And we're basing out of Nice and flying back and forth for about 10 days before we go to Paris. Just on 2 European tours.
And are you enjoying it?
Fabulous, yeah. Well, I enjoyed the British part of the tour a lot, because it's a new band. It's a 13-piece band, and it's something I've never really travelled with before. And at the end of about 2 years ago, I thought I'm not going to tour again. I just come to the end of my tether, and I was really bored. And I said, that's it, I'm never going to tour again. And I'm the world's worst at saying, yes, I will not be doing something. And of course, at least 2 years later, I come up and do it. Just basically working with new musicians again on the album. And we're having great fun. I thought, well, while you're still having great fun and enjoying it, and you think you're improving, and as a musician and you're enjoying it, why not go ahead and do it? So here I am on a world tour.
How did it all start to happen and evolve that you suddenly became?
When I became successful in America very quickly, I must hasten to add, I broke in America from a 300-word review in the LA Times, which spread across the country.
After the Troubadour?
Yeah, after the Troubadour. So that was, kind of unique. And suddenly I could do everything that I wasn't as fat, and I was quite all right then. And I could do anything I wanted to do in my teenage years, but couldn't squeeze into or weren't allowed to. I wasn't allowed to wear hush puppies and things like that when I was, can you believe this rubbish? Things kind of took off, and boy, did they. People said, you can't wear that, and I said, I bloody well can.
What's your mum and dad like? If they had a ban on hush puppies, that's fairly strict.
My dad was very strict, but my mum, I don't know, but hush puppies at that time were so with mods and rockers used to go and fight and stuff like that. My mum was great to me. My stepfather let me actually have a drop handlebar bicycle. It sounds like Oliver Twist, doesn't it?
I wasn't allowed to wear hush puppies.
It was just, I was brought up by strict parents. What can I say? I don't. They're okay.
And did you long then to have sort of purple hush puppies with wings on them and things?
Well, I longed to have big winkle pickers and jeans and stuff like that. So when I started to make it, and I could suddenly, people sort of brought me drawings of things that were completely outrageous, I thought, yeah, I'll do it.
Did you have any normal life though, or was it all?
No, it was all being on tour. That's one of the reasons I stopped, because I didn't really have any personal life. I just threw myself totally to being Elton John, which was great, because I used to hate being Reginald Dwight. It's a bloody awful name, Reginald. How can you call a baby Reginald? It's like it's like calling a baby Horace or something like that. Good evening, Horace. No. So it was great just to be Elton John and get rid of that horrible stigma of Reginald, which I kind of had a real sort of hang up about anyway. I just had an inferiority complex. So. But at the end of the 6 years, I did want to stop, because Elton John, I'd done enough. I couldn't think of anything more that I could do for that period of time. And I knew my decline, my sort of popularity was slightly on the decline. And I knew that even though the ego had something to do with it, I thought, well, if you stop, you're going to have people like, Fleetwood Mac and Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees started to sell 20 million records where you used to sell 5. And it sounds stupid, but that's part of the ego thing. And luckily enough, I'd already been involved with Watford. And if I'd stopped and had nothing else to do, I might have become a very big casualty, I think.
I miss the earth so much. I miss my wife. It's lonely out in space on such a timeless flight.
when you started to realise you wanted to do something else?
I was depressed because I'd just got a new band together. I'd only been on the road a year with that particular band, and it was a terrific band. And I was depressed really for them because we'd only just started going. And I got very tearful at Madison Square. We did 7 nights at Madison Square Gardens in '76, and the last night it was very tearful because the band were good. They were beginning to roar, and I was beginning to sort of get very tired. So that was the only thing I really regretted. I got very upset about. But
that Madison Square, that was the one where Lennon came on, isn't it?
No, that's earlier than that.
Was
that's
that
74,
earlier?
yeah. No, I think it's 74, 73. The years go by. I can't remember the year. I'm getting senile. But no, that was way before that. No, I think it's
Were you great friends with him?
I knew him very well for a year. But he was really great to everybody involved. We used to, I remember taking him out to a restaurant, and my mum and dad were there, and my dad took his teeth out from in his glass, and he laughed. Oh, God.
Your dad took his teeth
my
out?
stepfather, yes. Come from a lovely upbringing, you know. But no, he was great.
You always remember things your parents did.
I know,
like
but
that.
John was great at that period of time, May. And then, actually, that concert, he re-met Yoko again.
Back to after the American thing, and when you decided you'd stop for a while, what happened? Had you had your eye on Watford?
Not really. I did an interview with a girl called Julie Webb of the New Music Express. This is in the early 70s.
Awful for
I know. Well, she lived in Watford, and she said, "Yeah, you live in Watford. They need help." So I did a concert at the Ground with Rod and Nazareth to raise money for the club. And I became a vice president initially, and then became a director. And I was more bitten by the people, actually, than the football. The people were so nice to me because I used to be bright pink hair, huge high-heeled shoes. And although they probably laughed their heads off as I walked out the door, they were very, very kind and very honest, And I've always had honest people around me in my sort of group of people. But these people, like the tea lady would say, "Oh, why don't you make another good record like Daniel again? Load of old rubbish, you want it?" And you think, but they didn't mean it nasty. And I was bitten by the people and their attitude more than anything else. And I was really lucky to have that another thing. If I hadn't had another really big thing to focus my life on, I'd have just had my music. There are so many bands around, big bands, they don't have anything else really, and it's kind of sad.
And what was it like at the beginning with Watford when
horrendous.
they started to move up?
Oh, I thought you meant
when I first found them, they couldn't hit a ball.
When I first used to go and sit down at some of these matches, and you sit down at 20,000 people singing "Elton John's a homosexual, la 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 la," and you think, oh God. There was one in Halifax, which is even more embarrassing. I don't know whether you can print this, but it was, "Don't sit down while Elton's around, or you'll get up your and you said, and my mum's going, the director's wife's going, what they say, my mum's going, nothing. So one learned to take defeat quite well. No, I mean...
And now Reed. And now Richardson. Whipping in a good cross. And Sharp. And a goal! His first cup tie goal of the season, and it comes at Wembley.
Do you feel very emotional whenever you watch them?
Oh, yeah.
Does it make you feel sort of,
I remember lifting...
they're my boys?
Yeah, exactly. My boys. We beat Manchester United 2-1 in the League Cup when we were in the 3rd division at Old Trafford. And I remember that it's the first time they'd ever been beaten by a lower division club at home in a cup match. And when we scored the second goal, I lifted Bertie Mee up from his seat. And Bertie's very proper. And I danced around the director's box with him. Much to his, couldn't believe it. But I learnt then the Manchester United people were so wonderful in defeat, they must have felt sick as pigs. And I learnt a lot from them. A lot of the bigger clubs have been tremendous towards us because they've shown me how to accept defeat. I was never particularly a good loser. But since being at Watford, I've learnt from other clubs and from, various situations that you had to sit there, and it's calmed me down a lot. Well, I found them, ironically, I found the Russians the most closest to the Americans. I mean, the Americans, in general, when you talk about America and you talk about American people, you meet somebody on a plane, right? And they're so generous, they'll start to and say, "Well, if ever you want to come to my house, come," and they mean it. And the trouble with British people is sometimes you think, "Oh, Christ, I've got to put them up when they come back over." That's our fault, yeah. Oh, they'll want, yes. "Oh, I've got to clean the sheets twice a week." And the Russians was incredibly generous. As soon as I came back from Russia, I never worried about America and Russian people sort of going to war with each other. Maybe I was very naive, but I found them the same as Americans, very generous, they would give you anything.
Okay, Moscow, here we go. USSR. Sweet Loretta Martin thought she was a woman, but she was another man. Other people around her said she had a color, but you got to watch your hand. Step back to where you once belonged. Step back to where you once belonged.
My mum and dad were asked to go, out of protocol, and they didn't particularly, I don't particularly want to go there, I suppose I'll have to. And they had the greatest time. They loved it. You know, they used to go on the underground and say, oh, you can believe we'll eat off the floor here. It's so clean.
We're back in the USSR. Don't know how lucky we are, boy. Back in the USSR. Back in the US. Back in the US. Back in the USSR, boy.
I was very lucky to get married in Australia, A, because I like it, and B, because there was not enough time for the World Circus to arrive. I was very nervous. I was completely convinced it was the right thing to do. And it was great. It was one of the best, happiest days of my life.
Had you thought about it beforehand a lot, or did you do it very, just on the spur of the moment?
We never went out together, actually. Never had a date. We'd known each other. I've been in the studio practically every day for 3 months.
Yeah.
And everything like that. We used to get on very well. We never,
You'd not been to the pictures?
No, well, on Montserrat there isn't any pictures. We'd been down to the local chicken shack, which they call it. And I just, you know, I proposed to her and she said, well, I said, listen, I'm going to be on tour for a year. So I said, maybe, and it's not exactly the right sort of thing to do, get married and then leave you alone for a year. She said, well, it's like a dentist appointment and you're putting me off. So I thought, oh, fair enough. So I did it, and I had no qualms about it. I knew it was the right thing to do.